Wait, what topic are we talking about?
I like how you just start filming and you're like, wait, what are we doing? Wait, we're filming? What?
This is how every video is. Like, you don't understand. I cut out about like 5 minutes before every single video because every single time, and I'm not even talking like every single clip. Like for Friday vlogs where I'm like moving around or whatever, it's like I'll literally start the video and I have to cut out like 5 minutes before I actually start.
Why cut out any of it? That's gold content right there.
Oh no, sometimes I'll, do the, pull out thing and.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh wait, I'm filming. What's up? But we're talking about self-driving cars.
Okay, is that what we're going to discuss today?
I think, yeah.
I feel like it's a good topic.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
Before we started filming, we had a lot
Yeah,
to
so
talk about it.
I was discussing what topics we should discuss, and then we got a little bit carried away discussing the said topics, and I was so no way, hold on, actually we need to be filming this. Anyway, so hi guys, welcome back to Podcasting Cars. Again, I really need a better name for the series. Please leave me know down in the comments if you have a better name, because this is not really podcasting. Anyway, what is the
vlogging in
difference?
cars, I guess, but it's just like a longer format of vlogging.
Okay. Someone please give me a better name. I need a better name for this.
I like podcasting cars.
It's got a good roll off the tongue. That's why I named it that. I was like, it's got a good.
Podcasting cars.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
chilling. You
Yeah,
don't even
exactly.
have to do much.
No, 100%.
And
Anyway,
one day you can just get marks and then start like driving around and just have marks.
what I'd love to do is have a live stream set up like we discussed in one of the
Yeah.
previous ones, but that's obviously heavy duty shit. Anyway, as you guys can see in today's video, we got Mr. Luke with me, mainly because I didn't feel like recording by myself and I wanted more funny in this setup.
So why did you pick me?
Because you're very entertaining. Us together is actually exceptionally entertaining.
Yeah, it's just because we're stupid.
Pretty much, yeah. Anyway, so today's topic is going to be about self-driving cars and why I personally feel like they're pointless and probably not going to happen.
I
But
think they have a point.
yeah, I was going to say Luke had some very valuable and very good points on why they should and do exist. So before we actually get into self-driving cars, I want to iterate. They already technically exist.
Yes.
Tesla already has their own systems where self-driving cars.
But not fully self-driving cars, like not
Yeah.
fully automated cars.
Yeah, like we're not talking. I mean, like the Tesla system can change lanes by itself. I believe it can maintain speed and brake for you and do everything already pretty much. But you still have a steering wheel, a brake, and a accelerator that you can control kind of what the car is doing. We're talking about that, but mainly also, I guess, more about the cars that would have literally like a blank interior where the car will drive itself, and that you will have no control over it. It's a feather.
Is it a feather or like a little bit of insect?
I think it was a feather because it wasn't flying like an insect would. It was more sporadic and
Moths fly like that.
unnatural, I suppose. Anyway,
Okay.
ADHD monkey brain going
Yeah,
ding
we're
ding
like,
ding ding. Anyway,
What are we talking about?
so my initial thoughts on self-driving cars is they're not gonna happen. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on people at home. I need to turn off my vibration because yeah, there we go. Sorry.
The vibration adds a little spice.
I suppose maybe.
Ooh. What was that?
So my thoughts on self-driving cars is I don't really think that they're gonna happen because it's like there was that whole big incident not that long ago of Tesla
My bad.
of their Tesla in the tunnel, and then it decided just randomly to start braking without the user's input, and it stopped, like came to a dead stop in the middle of the tunnel on a highway, and then it made like a 5 or 6 car pile up because all the cars just went up and landed up going into the back of it, and so on and so forth. And my thoughts on the topic was, if you think about your cell phone, light bulbs, TV, whatever, technology these days is not actually built to last. It's built to last a set period of time, then it's supposed to break so that you buy the replacement. Because long ago, and this is actually like, it's a written thing. You can go look up. I can't remember what the term or the rule, inverted commas, is, but it's actually like it's a proper legit thing that businesses have all signed. Well, not all businesses, but some businesses, as far as I'm aware, that their technology is made to last like 5 or 6 years, and then it's meant to break because technology at some point actually got to the point where it wouldn't break. And like, I mean, there's a light bulb from the like not 1800s. When was electricity invented?
You're asking the wrong human being, dude.
I don't know. There was a light bulb made. It was like one of the first light bulbs, and it's lasted like over 100 years or something like that. Whilst today's light bulbs can barely last like 3 years.
Okay, it's dependent on the usage as well. If
This
you get,
is
like,
true.
Stupid people that are like, flicking the lights on and off. I mean,
No, of course,
obviously
then
it's
that's
not
going to
work.
break.
Yeah.
Or trying to balance the light switch. I will blame guilty to that one. I have done that because we all want to be magicians and have the light switch back.
I don't think I've done that before.
You are
Like,
not a
besides,
man
like,
until you've done that.
Besides, like at Builder's Warehouse, like where you know where they have like all those
Oh,
switches,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
like,
okay. No, that counts. That counts.
okay, cool. So I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
But my point being, technology is not built and meant to actually last these days. And my thoughts are the technology that's in those self-driving cars, they're not going to make it to its full potential. If Windows is refusing to release a version of Windows that's like completely, bug-free without incidents, and they're not going to release 12 updates in between it, and then come out with Windows, the next one, and say, oh yeah, but this one is not broken, it's completely fine, and it's better in every single way, I feel like self-driving cars are going to have the same issue.
Understand where you're coming from, but now you're like talking in terms of programming. Like in terms of programming, every program has bugs. Like,
Of course.
yeah, as a programmer, you understand that you have the set instructions, and sometimes the instructions aren't put in for certain like
Parameters.
yeah, and now you want that to be fixed, and obviously those are going to be like the updates. And don't put me more into the thing.
I'm trying to make it even.
It's not even. You're like leaning this much into the camera, dude.
Yeah, you're my guest. I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Also, I enjoy leaning over.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, like I was saying, it's basically the technology, like I understand what you're saying, but it's more the programming that we need to talk about in terms of the self-driving part. Because the programming, I think, can get to the point where it can drive itself and it can be fully automated. In terms of the technology of the car, yeah, everything on a car needs to be replaced, like the tires, everything. Like, but in terms of the programming, I think that'll reach a point where it's at a sufficient space where, like, maybe, let's say, I'm gonna like shoot for the stars, but like say in 30 years, we have fully like self-driving cars, yeah, that are basically like caravans inside, and you're just like chilling and like going with your family to like a vacation spot or something, and you don't really have to do much. You just have to put it into the GPS and it takes you there. You know what I mean? But like, I think that's just like in terms of a programming like point of view. You know what I mean? Because like what happened with the Tesla was programming issue, not exactly the car.
I get what you mean, but I don't know, because again, in terms of the programming, what I was meaning with the Windows situation is it's like Windows hasn't released a solid version of Windows yet, you know what I mean? Besides like one of the older programs. The fact that one of the older programs is actually more stable and lasted longer than the more recent ones basically proves my point. They don't make technology that just infinitely lasts, because I understand that obviously the older Windows is out of date now. It was slower, blah blah blah. They've increased the speeds, which in its own right, yes, causes more problems. But I feel like, although I can't really comment, I have a very basic programming knowledge, and I've done a fair few programs myself when I was still coding, but I just feel like those issues are ones that can be solved. Fine, it might delay the time more,
Yeah.
but those issues can be solved, and they're kind of just not fixing them because they'd rather release the product, get all the money from it, and then later be like, oh, there's a patch, here we go.
But now you see that is also, that comes from investors and them
interfering.
them
Okay,
having
fair enough,
like
fair enough,
like
fair enough.
think of Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Cyberpunk
100%.
needed so much more time, but they had to release something. They weren't doing it because they wanted money. The investors wanted the money
of
back
course.
that they put in. But also in terms of like bugs and stuff, when you think of like Windows and like Microsoft in general, like when they release something, you also forget that they're adding new features and they're trying to incorporate those new features with the old stuff as well. So that will obviously bring bugs, but that's something that they can't necessarily control all the time.
I can just imagine a self-driving car just going down the road, and then it's just like, oh, Windows update right now. Sorry, I'm just gonna crash and die now. Sorry, because that's what always happens. You're in the middle of the most important thing in the world, and it's just like, oh, sorry, compulsory Windows update. Gotta shut down and die now.
I think that would be probably the biggest problem, is if it were to have like say dedicated connection in order to be a self-driving car, then there would be a problem, right? But if it was like whenever you get to a certain spot where there is say like Wi-Fi, or you have to like plug in your
I
car.
think that's how Teslas work now. So like I think they don't go into an update mode until the car is busy charging, because then it figures, okay, it's charging. I think it's actually not even on like fast chargers, so the chargers between like different petrol stations, inverted commas. It's literally like slow chargers, so home chargers and stuff like that. I think they don't update until it's on a slow charger, because then it knows the car's going to be stationary there for a while. It has the time and the connection now to do the update.
You see, that's clever to me. Like, and even if it was like
my boy Elon out here, bro.
But like in terms, even if it's not say an electric car, which is kind of stupid if it's a self-driving car and it's not electric, but anyway.
Yeah, no, agree.
Say if you want to do like a long trip and then they don't have charging points, say at the Grand Canyon. I don't know American geography. So like say like from a certain distance there's no charging points
in the middle of the Nevada desert, so basically on the way to Las Vegas.
Yeah, so like say if you're going like that route, I'm pretty sure like that the self-driving cars, like, well, electric cars can go that distance
Probably.
But now the thing, oh wait, we like changing off the subject of self-driving cars, but anyway, like I forgot what I was gonna say, because I was like, no, stop talking, because we have to talk about self-driving cars. But like with the updates and stuff, I think it's like pretty good in terms of if they do it like that way, like with the slow charging, and it has to be in a stationary position. It's not like just gonna update like, oh, but if there's like say like touch wood that there's no there's like an emergency update that needs to be happen, right? They're
like
obviously putting
brakes aren't at 100% or something when it's trying to do an emergency brake.
Yeah, like
so it kind of needs to necessarily update that.
It would have to have like a procedure where it would pull off to the side of the road, then be like, okay, where's the closest like necessary point of charging, and then it can do the update there, you know what I mean? Or
so what? Okay, I suppose though, if it's like an emergency update, then it's probably going to be one that was like recently discovered, a bug that was recently discovered that there needs to be patched. But what I was going to say is, I know for some games, a lot of this is actually going to relate to games, strangely enough, because of how games patching works, because games, I feel like, are the most modern version of how to patch and update things.
Yeah, just bug fixes in general. Like there's a lot that games do, especially like live games.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, I know for some games, and you can go, I think Forza does this a lot, when there's like a new car that's going to be coming out in a DLC or in like a season drop kind of thing, that you can win the car. When one of those cars is coming out in like a month or two, the previous updates would have had the cars already like in the game. It's just you don't physically see it on a surface level, so you'd have to go like behind the scenes and into like a dev mode in able to take it out. But then basically the update that adds that car is only like maybe 2 or 3 megabytes, you know, nothing, absolutely nothing to actually update it, because all it's doing is just saying, okay, instead of making the car invisible, make it visible now so that it can be purchased or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is it would be helpful if there was like background patches that all it had to do is be like, oh, this system is failing. Okay, there's already a patch installed, ready to go to cover it. But I suppose, again, if it's an emergency situation, then might not end up being able to do that.
I don't necessarily think that would be the smartest thing for them to do. Like, I understand like having like fail procedures just in case, but in terms of like what you're saying with like the Forza stuff, I don't think that would be the way to go. I think it would be more like, say if you're playing Apex Legends and that's like an online game and they have a new event, it's going to be a 32 gig update, like massive update, but it's going to like hit all the points that it needs to, and then whatever bugs they need to fix, those will be the little implementations that they have like
in between.
Yeah, so even if you're doing like a fast charge, it's like a quick little update for maybe one or two things like every charge, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because I think self-driving cars, in terms of accessibility for like disabled people, old people, maybe for just public transport in general, I mean, it would take jobs away from like bus drivers and stuff, but I mean, it would help a lot, you know?
Yeah. See, I don't know if those kind of systems are going to need a solid like internet connection in order to stream like Google Maps or Waze or whatever you want to say, so it knows traffic, it knows where there's potholes on the road, so it's not going to just yeet you into a pothole.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if it's going to need like a constant streaming, because then I was going to say what you could do is then, okay, so in the built up cities and stuff, then yeah, sure, you know, whilst we have phone reception, I'm sure then it will work.
Yeah.
But then you like in the more rural oh my word, can I English
Rural.
in the more rural areas, you'd have still like normal bus drivers and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's what they would like probably need to address, in terms like they would just need to put more like satellite dishes, but like more what's it called, where you get more reception, like radio tower sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get
Yeah,
what you mean.
they would need to put more of those around.
Unless they're running off Elon's satellite.
Or they can do that, like, because like, yeah, in populated areas, obviously it'll be way easier to manage. Like, say if Uber had to go like full self-driving, that would be like a lot better, because then it would just like be easier for transport in general.
Okay, I have another thought on the topic. Okay, so now we were literally just discussing, okay, but now would it go through like Google Maps or Waze or something like that? For us, in order to use that kind of technology, we have to use our data, of which we pay somebody to in order to receive. So does that now mean for Uber we'd have to pay on top of just, you know, obviously the general wear and tear that it would put on the car, and now I suppose you're paying for the driver's time, so instead of paying for the driver's time, you're now paying for airtime.
Yeah, you would just be paying, you would still pay the same, probably like a little bit more if you want like the fancy like self-driving thing, like say if you like, you can have the option of self-driving like if you want, like in the future, right? But it'd still be the same, maybe a little bit more expensive, but like in terms of them using like Google Maps or Waze and like finding potholes and stuff, obviously if they self-driving cars, they're going to have enough technology to have cameras that can see in front of them and like detect like potholes, and then instantly put on Waze, because I know like Waze you have to like input the stuff yourself, like potholes here, police here, crash car here, someone stopped off the side, and they would just instantly put that on Waze, and then you would see, okay, and yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, but in terms of public transport, so basically what the government is supposed to be funding, that would obviously be a very big issue here, because we know that none of the money would go towards it.
Yeah, this is true.
So all of these systems are kind of just going to sit there broken and then not know where they're going because the maps are like completely out of date.
Public transport here is kind of like, we have like the whole taxi thing, but taxis here versus taxis in like America or like the UK, very different, very, very different. But I think the places where self-driving would thrive are places like like
UK.
America, UK, like all European
Japan.
countries, yeah, like
Japan and China.
Asia, yeah, like most of those places where public transport is actually used properly. You know what I mean?
And taken care of properly.
Yeah, like if you think about it, like I don't know if the bullet train or something is like still like man like input and stuff like that, or it's just running on like schedules.
I don't actually know, to be 100% honest. I can't comment on that.
Because like that would be like a perfect example of how self-driving is a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And how it's already implemented, but it's just on railways. It's not on roads.
I get what you mean, but I suppose it's also a little bit difficult though, because railways, I want to say, are like very point to point. You know, there's not many variations.
But that's what I'm saying. Like but at least it's like it's a point of where you can see now once. Obviously, you remember, I don't know if you know, but there was a computer that they taught all the basic moves of chess, like so all the pieces, how they move.
Yeah.
And it literally let it run. And it learned how to play like the perfect game by itself.
Okay.
So, in a sense, like when all the cars are doing what they do, like in general, they would take all that data, say from people using Google Maps or people
Waze.
using Waze. They can use all of that data and already put it into the self-driving cars, because that's so much data that they already have of all the routes, all the routes, like where most of the road problems are, say in like potholes or damaged roads, or where roadworks often happen, where most frequent accidents happen, where most like hijackings happen. Like it would have all of that information. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you what I think would also be a pretty good system? So what you were saying about how they got a whole bunch of information from like, or how they could get a lot of information from people using Waze or whatever. So a lot of people theorize that's why Elon Musk bought Twitter. It's because he wanted human dynamics and like how people socialize, blah blah blah, kind of, and like a whole bunch of political topics, blah blah blah
There's
blah
so
blah.
much data that he
So
has
that
now.
he could put it in that Cyberlink, whatever it's called, which is the brain chip that he's doing. What I was thinking as a follow-on thought from that is, I suppose it would have to be a Tesla product, because he probably wouldn't allow it to link to like just anything, but you could link to a Tesla self-driving system, and then basically you'd have a full override, I suppose, on it. So the car would be driving itself, but then in that situation that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, in the tunnel, you can say, why are you stopping, just go. And
like
then it would
no
act like a
or
yeah.
no like emergency.
And then because it's in your brain, it's like it's not even like you need time to actually do anything and like take over. It would happen instantly.
Yeah, like I think that's that like if the cyber like chip works, or what Cyberlink, whatever it's called, if that works. And by the way, I would be down to try that, like listening to music in your brain for free. Oh, well, not for free. I mean, you probably pay like a subscription. Imagine getting ads in your brain while you're sleeping.
That's why I'm hesitant to do it, because I'm
Listen
like,
to Spotify, and you're like, no,
I'm sleeping.
I'd do it. I mean, I'd just be like a test dummy, just for free.
I want to know how would the systems work, because I'd be scared someone like hacks it. Okay, but this is a different topic for another day. Okay, sorry. But my point being is,
takes us into many different things.
Yeah, but my point being is, I feel like self-driving, because I know it's being heavily pushed on right now to like start even being implemented, and I'm like, no way in hell is it anywhere near being ready to be implemented.
Implemented in the way Tesla's doing it right now, in slow doses and like small amounts, not full-on self-driving. I think that's the way to go, and they slowly increase it.
I think Tesla's actually too far as it is, like, because I've seen people literally just jump into the passenger seats whilst their car drives them somewhere. And I'm like,
that's not the purpose of a Tesla, and they even like tell you that as like a Tesla owner, like you gotta be behind the wheel. Like people who do that are idiots, first of all.
I suppose.
Like,
Okay.
and it's user error if they like.
Okay,
in
yeah,
that
no, fine.
sense.
We must also take into account user error. I must admit.
Humans are stupid. Like, as a human myself, I can tell you we're stupid. So,
Agreed.
like, it's very easy for user error to become a thing because maybe someone doesn't update a certain thing, and maybe that's why the pileup happened. You know what I mean? Like you have to take certain things into account. You can't just like count it off just because of one experience. You know?
Fair enough.
But yeah, like I think it's a viable
Look,
option.
I won't lie. In terms of Tesla self-driving, in terms of like it's detecting a car coming up behind me, so that it bumps forward, so that it doesn't hit you, or same if a car's like coming towards you, it will reverse the car quickly. And it can detect, like if you're in traffic where it's got in front of you and behind you, it will move back just enough that you're not hitting the person behind you, but you should escape the person coming towards you. I'm very impressed with those kind of systems, and I often wish I had those kind of systems, because people can't drive and they like park this close to your bike, and I'm like, I'm in a two-door sports car, please don't hit me, I can't afford to fix my car if you crash into it, thank you. So like I freak out with this kind of shit like all the time, and I'd love to have that Tesla system where it's just like, no, fuck you, I'm gone.
Another thing that I just thought of now is fuel efficiency. Imagine how fuel efficient a self-driving car would be, because it knows exactly how fast to travel to get that certain distance and use like a certain amount of power.
Yeah.
Whereas, say you, freaking like tool that you are, when you're like, turbo time, you just finish all your petrol, and you're like, but petrol is expensive. Yes, but you also drive like a tool. You know this, but
no, okay, yeah, no.
don't say no. You know it's true. So like, that would also be like a massive thing, because now, like, I can only imagine Tesla drivers are the same, because those things pump out power.
Yeah.
And obviously people are going to like play around with it and obviously use more power than they need to. Whereas self-driving cars would only use the amount needed.
Yeah, it would be very efficient in
Yes.
how it's doing it. Yeah, okay, no, very, very fair. Because, I mean, also then in self-driving cars, obviously, as we've all experienced, highway driving, you get better mileage. I don't actually know if that applies for electric cars. I'm assuming it does.
Yeah, I'm assuming so too.
But highway driving, you get better mileage out of your, or better fuel
Efficiency.
yeah. So what I guess, again, if electric cars do abide to that rule, I'm not 100% sure, but again, I'm assuming, you could probably travel a lot faster, but with similar efficiency. So I mean, you could be going down at like 250 kilometers per hour, still reasonably safe, because I mean, again, the Tesla will be able to track what's happening all the way down over there and what's happening all the way back there, so it'll know kind of where it is and to watch out for stuff.
And also, like, because they would be self-driving cars, they'd be smart cars, so they would know for downhills they don't necessarily have to put any power at all.
Yeah.
To go, like, they would obviously have to go the speed limit. They wouldn't just like roll and like they're like, like 4Ks an hour, just like do. But yeah, like they would just know how to let off power and like save as much power as possible in certain situations.
And then obviously they've also got the regenerative braking, because a lot of I don't know if you know about the regenerative braking. So Formula One cars have this for their hybrid systems. The electric Golf that I drove had this, and Teslas, I believe, also have it. Basically, your brakes, when you let off the accelerator, your brakes almost automatically engage, I want to say, or at least that's how it feels to the driver. And what it's doing is the energy that is then being lost because of you not doing anything now, it's actually regaining electricity from the motion or something like that.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah, so it's recharging the batteries.
Sort of
So it recharges the batteries. It doesn't obviously stop the batteries from going flat, but it makes it charge.
At least gives some
a little
more
bit
power.
extra charge. Yeah.
That's That's genius.
Yeah, no, it's
People are
very smart.
smart.
Yeah, no, humans are very intelligent. They're also really dumb, so it
Yeah,
kind of depends.
We have a very big variant.
Yeah, it's like it's really a 50-50
Yeah.
shot.
I'm on the dumber side of the scale,
Yeah,
unfortunately. So you know.
I'm also there. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think in
My only, or one of my biggest hesitations towards self-driving cars is it kind of eliminates people like myself, because there's no more characteristics for cars in terms of like, because that's a big thing with electric cars right now. How is the car going to feel to the driver? Because some of us won't care. We don't care how the car feels. We just want to climb in the car, it must take us to work, and then we're done. Some of us want to climb into the car, like me. I obviously love to climb in the car, and I love to hear the turbo going. I love to, I mean, just on my way to work, I was doing below the speed limit, but I was seeing like what speed I can carry through corners, because I enjoy momentum-based driving, because that's what MX-5s are for. So I was, you know, feeling out the steering and stuff like that, and how does the suspension roll and stuff. Whilst electric cars all tend to feel the same. So my thoughts and worries with self-driving cars is they're all going to feel the same, and you don't even have the input to try enjoy the same feeling anyway. It's now kind of just like, okay, for somebody like me, you kind of just now have to sit there and be like,
yeah, but I mean, those cars wouldn't necessarily be you're not the target audience for those cars. You know what I mean?
but how are they going to be entwined with normal traffic? Well, I suppose the Teslas are already doing that.
Yeah, like it's just for people like who
With
need
disability.
it. Yeah, like people who need like the accessibility, or people who are just lazy
Fair enough.
in general, or people who have a
Don't
fear
care.
of driving and just like want the car to do it itself, and
Yeah.
they can go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, no, fair enough. Because I was going to say, my worry is that car companies go down this route, but then completely eliminate the need for the driver.
I don't think they would do that because they know.
I feel like there's
car
too many people that
Yeah, the car
want to
population,
still
like the
drive.
people who love cars, is a huge population of people.
It is a minority though.
But it's also like, if you think about it, it's a huge thing. Like with racing, like they're not gonna have like
Okay,
Formula 1
okay, wait,
cars,
hold
like,
on,
just-
hold on.
like-
So obviously you get the guys who enjoy cars like you and myself that want to now build cars and so on and so forth. We've taken it to an extremist level almost. But there are still the people who just enjoy driving or watching racing. They don't necessarily care to do it themselves. They don't care about the specifications of the car or to do it and modify their cars to do those things
Yeah.
themselves. But they would sit down and watch Formula 1 or NASCAR or whatever. Otherwise, though, they don't necessarily care much about the in-depth version of cars, like myself and probably a lot of my viewers and yourself as well, to a degree.
Yeah,
You're
to a
not.
degree.
I was going to
I'm
say
not-
you're not
I'm
the
not- I'm not-
biggest car.
Yeah, I'm
buff.
I'm not like a car buff like you. I don't know like every single model made and like ever like owned, but like I do enjoy cars. I do find them fascinating. I do want to build one of my own one day when I have enough money.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, Jesus.
I must actually send you some links. I found some really cheap, cool JDMs. Anyway,
I
moving on.
might like look into it, but we'll see.
It's a nice learning curve, especially if you're into cars. Like it's a nice learning curve to like then start modifying it, because then you learn what's actually done to your car, and then that goes into last week's video of building your car specified kind of to like what you want it to be, rather than just building it for the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, again, side topic though. Sorry.
But like in terms of with your fear of the self-driving cars, I think you're also thinking about self-driving cars just taking over, and cars that are driven by people will be obsolete and taken away completely, and that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, that I doubt is going to happen, but I worry that certain places are going to like start implementing it. I don't know. My concern is the same kind of thing that's happening with electric cars now. Like there's okay, obviously I'm fine with the fact that, you know, no more petrol cars are supposed to be produced after a certain amount of years. I acknowledge and I appreciate that movement because it does help the environment, although as previously discussed it kind of doesn't, because of the mining and then shipping the materials across the world. It kind of doesn't help because it's just adding the same pollution back, if not actually more.
It's kind of
I'm
creating chaos to almost create peace at the end. You know what I mean?
I'm speaking in a hypothetical sense of that it was all green in the first place. I'm fine with that kind of movement then, but my concern is they're going to start being like, okay, but now if you drive a petrol car, it's going to be like huge tax implications now because now you're damaging the environment and stuff. Never mind, again, the fact that keeping an older car alive is actually more beneficial than trying to produce a new one. But
yeah, I mean, like, obviously the taxes will happen, like they will eventually. Not you, like, I don't think that's something we ever have to worry about in like our generation.
Probably not, or at least until like we're not in like our 80s or something.
Yeah. And by then I'm gonna want to die anyway. So it's not like any.
Oh, dude, that's a relatable topic even for now. So never mind.
Dude, yeah, like, everything costs so much. Why? Like,
why do we exist on this ethereal plane?
God.
But
anyway.
my point being is, I'm concerned that the self-driving car movement is going to go down the same kind of route where they're going to be like, okay, listen, you can't drive your car yourself anymore because it's too dangerous to.
I don't think it's going to lead to that.
Definitely not in our lifetime, I wouldn't think.
I don't think in our lifetime or the next. Because that's going to be such a long process to get to that point of where they're like, okay, self-driving is so good now that
we can
only user error.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
I feel like that's also something we don't have to worry about. But I do feel like self-driving cars will benefit like the planet in general. Like, even if you think about if self-driving trucks had to be a thing and just traveling cargo to certain places,
like in Logan.
Yeah, basically. But like you could have the time of cargo being shipped somewhere cut down dramatically.
Yeah, because they'll drive through the night because you haven't got a driver that has to rest.
Exactly. So you could it cuts down that's like a lot. It cuts down, say if your packages are like, bruh, thanks my dude. Okay, then like if you have like all of these packages that have to arrive at a certain time, but then they don't, or they could arrive at an earlier time, but just because the driver needs to sleep and stuff, it could also reduce the amount of fuel needed to ship a certain amount of like
because
cargo.
we must also keep in mind, obviously, again, I don't know about electric cars. I don't know enough about electric cars to really comment, but I know for petrol cars or diesel, when you start the car, that obviously uses a lot of fuel to just get up and ready and start going, and then it has to warm up before it gets to its efficiency rating. Now electric cars I think are efficient across the board, but I don't know if the initial shock, whilst again the highway driving situation, again, I don't really know if that is a thing, but yeah, I'm assuming because it's at a constant RPM and it's not.
Pause my dad's.
And I'm back. Although I didn't want to record for much longer. This has already been like almost 40 minutes, so.
Podcasts generally go for like an hour 30.
Yeah, I know, but like my podcasts don't, because
yours
usually I run out of time. I don't mind actually talking for more, so yeah.
Well, I don't know what you got to do today, so I'm also.
I have nothing to do today, pretty much. I am not the most helpful human being, so.
Valid feeling.
What were we saying?
So we were talking about self-driving cars, but then I don't know what our last topic was before my dad, like,
rudely interrupted.
Yeah, and he pulled the finger at us. While
I wanted that on recording, but
yeah, it should have been in the recording. We should have recorded it, but it would have been hard to get.
Just yeah.
But like,
you know what? In terms of the eliminating of the driver side of things, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I feel like also, as long as they allow easy access to places that you still can then race and do stuff. So I'm meaning like almost free kind of cost. You can go at any points during the day and whatever, go jump into, even if it's like a little go-kart kind of situation, on like a private little racetrack, that then you can go drive the car yourself for people like myself. If they are going to fully eliminate the drivers.
I don't think it's going to be at a cost-free thing. Like, it's definitely going to cost something to
Yeah,
do
but
something like that. Maybe
it
like
must be cheap relative to how everything else is.
I get you.
Because go-karting right now is like super expensive, and if you think about it, like I don't know, because I was gonna say in the same breath though, you can just jump in your car and go for a drive, but you can't race your car.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you just shouldn't. Like.
Yeah. In order to race your car, you have to either go like pay very large amounts to go to an actual racetrack, or you're gonna have to go to like a little go-karting thing and go
Have
to
you
go-karts.
checked how much it is for like just to like race on a racetrack?
In a car or go-kart?
Car.
So for a little autocross like what I used to do, it was about like $350 which wasn't too bad, but obviously take into account the amount of clutch that you're using, petrol that you're using, engine wear, tire wear, brake wear, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
but going into it, you obviously know that.
Yes, it's gonna
that, so.
it's gonna put extra wear on it.
Yeah.
So if you take into that like account though, you're probably still at like minimum at most like using like $500 of like everything, which isn't actually that expensive for a proper track day at like a track where there's
like say Kyalami.
At Kyalami it's expensive because Kyalami is a very well known racetrack here in South Africa. So Kyalami I think is like, I think when they have like an open Ferrari day, it's still like 1,000 and something to go race, and then you need your own helmet, and then again on top of that it's still the wear and tear from the car. So,
but I feel like that's also a decent price in regards to what you get.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because it's a proper racetrack.
Yeah,
and yeah,
considering it's a proper legit racetrack, and then I think when you pay that you get the full day to race.
Then that's like nothing then.
Yeah, actually. I don't want to speak out of context though, so please don't hold me to that. I don't know if it is a full day race or maybe you only get like a set amount of laps. I'm unsure. I'm just speaking.
You should look into
thoughts.
that.
I'm actually going to look into that. I do know because Chloe's boyfriend who races bikes, just for the interwebs, he said to me when they go test the race bike, they'll go like now during the week to one of the racetracks, probably not Kyalami. I feel like Kyalami doesn't do it, but Midval, I think as he said, one of them does it, and then Zwartkopies apparently also maybe does it. I don't know, but apparently you go there, you pay $500, and then you get to race around for the day and test out your car. You literally just pay $500 to have like a couple of marshals around to make sure if you do come off the bike or crash your car or whatever, it's fine. And they're there with.
You should look into that, like regardless of what this video is now.
Yeah, this is just a conglomerate of random crap.
Yeah, like I feel like you should look into that because that would be like good content just to like review tracks in general. Like,
I don't mind doing that, especially if the cost isn't that high. And then to be honest with you, I would love to invite a couple of my mates, like the friend with the Midnight Purple 200SX. I know he works from home, so I might be able to convince him and just be like, oh, dude, sick day, or something. Like, Corin, if you're watching, consider
like
it.
That would be like really dope content, especially for people who like are into track racing. Because, like you said, there's a whole bunch of different like umbrella like groups like that fit under car people.
Yeah,
and some people are just track racing, and they don't necessarily about like getting out cars to like drive
street based.
Yeah, and they just care about track.
Although to be honest with you, a lot of the guys that go into track or drag or drift or whatever, they start as street guys.
Yeah,
because I mean that's where everyone kind of starts. But yes, I get what you mean.
Then
like
you get the posh people who like take their cars, put it on trailers, just go to.
Yeah, I mean then you get the billionaires that just buy like the limited edition track Lamborghinis and shit, and then they go take that like a Sesto.
Yeah,
there's 6 Sesto Elementos in existence. Did you see the video of the guy driving on the street? Okay, sorry, no, that's not a topic for this video. But there was a guy that took his Sesto Elemento, which I will mind you is not street legal, and he drove it on the streets. But like,
I just hear all crunching.
Oh, it was such a cool video though that they made out of it. Anyway, moving on. That's not the point of today's video.
But like of all the topics that I've like pointed out, do you like has your like view on self-driving cars changed a bit?
What really hit home was the accessibility, especially like for old people or disabled people. Because I mean, I think about like my grandparents. My grandfather is 80.
I have no. Why are you looking at me? He's your grandfather.
Seven at this point to sound okay. He's an old man, okay?
He looks good for his age, though.
Yeah, he does. He's very good for his age, and so on and so forth. But you know, he struggles with driving. And I mean, my family was telling us, well, my mom was telling me a story that my grand told my mom. They were busy driving the other day, and he tried to go. He tried to get onto the highway from an off ramp. There we go. I was struggling so much on how to word that.
I was watching your brain like burn.
Yeah.
Like
Monkey was like, "Argh!"
You were hitting high revs there.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, old people, and we've seen stories like this a lot. Like sometimes just old people do not comprehend roads anymore. They remember how it used to be, and they're just not catching on to how it kind of is currently. What temperature is my phone? Sorry, I just want to make sure that it's not overheating and then going to kill and die just randomly throughout the recording.
Like the one thing that
there was a Audi S3.
Oh, are you watching it? Like, are you watching the camera, or are you watching your?
I'm watching the mirror and stuff. I'm very paranoid.
I've been looking around like your dashboard. I'm just like
ADHD brain, monkey brain, gung gung.
Doesn't mean I've not been paying attention. I've just been looking at all the knobs. So I think with old people, it's also reaction times. Reaction times drop drastically, and I feel like self-driving cars, in terms of reactions, like especially with what you're saying about the Tesla driving, in terms of the systems that they have of like being able to brake and like know when to pull back from a car, when to go forward. That helps a lot, because old people don't necessarily concentrate on that as much as we do, and we're going to get to that stage where we can't exactly, like, our brains don't work as fast as they used to, you know what I mean? So I feel like that would be a very big thing just in general.
Yeah, that was a very big persuasion for me, because I'm sure everyone can relate. We all have older parents or older grandparents that we're looking at, and we're like, you know, they should really stop driving now. Like, I don't mind driving you, because it's actually becoming a little bit of a hazard to have you on the road. And there's been a lot of situations. I mean, I had once, the highway had 2 lanes that had just split off, so the highway was limited to 3 lanes, and I was in the middle lane doing 120, and there was a truck in the slow lane. In front of me was a dude also doing 120, and then next to me was people doing over 120 or 120, and we're all just busy cruising. And then suddenly the dude in front of me veers out the road and gets into the fast lane, and in front of me is an old lady doing literally 40 on the highway. And I was like, so I hit brakes, but now
so dangerous.
I'm driving an older car that will lock up really easy because I haven't got ABS. So like I slammed on brakes, I looked this way and I was like, cool, I have the option of going under a truck. I looked in front of me and I was like, cool, I have the option of going into this squat car that's going to kill mine. Or I looked this way and I was like, okay, there's a lady in an SUV like here next to me. I cannot go anywhere. So my options were go into the front of the person, into the person in front of me. Luckily, this lady saw me and then braked really hard as well, and then I could like switch lanes. But I mean, why are they doing that kind of speed? Also, I suppose that could be down to the car, which
I feel like
it's the old people.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely the old people, because you also feel speed differently.
Yeah,
like at old ages. Like, have you I'm pretty sure you watch a lot of car videos anyway, but like, have you seen like the videos of where old people react to like the dude like pulling off like in his turbo, and they're like, oh
like the 1000 horsepower super shits, and then they freak out because because
they only used to driving at like 40, you know what I mean? Like, if they drive any faster, they're gonna die. Like,
fair enough.
Exactly. So I feel like because cars nowadays, they not that old that they only can go 40 on a highway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if it's an old car, it's still going to be able to push at least to 80.
Yeah.
And that's still a dangerous speed to be driving on a highway. But
Look,
it's
unless
safe,
you're driving like a genuine restored Ford Model T, of which at that point, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get off the road.
Like, yeah, like that's basically like, yeah. So
Okay, no, I agree with that. Then I agree. Again, then my only concern then with self-driving cars is the elimination for the need for the driver, and then like people like myself aren't gonna enjoy driving anymore. And or how do we enjoy driving?
I still think.
My dude, what would the need for speed in Forza games become? All you're gonna do is just log in, create a character, and then the car will drive itself. So what do you do? Obviously,
funny.
that won't happen. That
That's
will.
funny. I feel like.
Actually, I'd be interested, just like as a gimmick, if Forza like or Need for
Put
Speed
the Tesla
added
in
one of
self-driving.
yeah
mode.
added
Just
one
like,
of those in, not for like all the cars, but added it for like one car, and I'd love to see what happens.
They
Like
should
what
do
kind
that
of
on Need for
chaos?
Speed. That'd be
100%.
hysterical.
I want to see a Tesla in self-drive mode, just like yeet around a corner.
Yeah, put it in drift mode. Just go around every single bend. Oh,
That would be brilliant.
and then like brakes automatically because there's a car in front.
Yeah. Stops mid-drift,
Yeah.
like pulls around.
Yeah,
Okay, jokes aside though.
I feel like I'm still like strong on my stance that self-driving cars will happen, but I feel like they're gonna be a good thing to happen.
I agree with you. I definitely think it is going to happen. I don't know when is my thing, and that's what I was meaning by I don't know if it's being implemented too early at this point. In terms of like Tesla, I don't know if Tesla should really be allowed to publicly test this on the streets just yet, because I mean Google obviously also has their own self-driving systems that they're trying to implement, but I think they're working with smart cars and stuff like that.
I hate smart cars.
They're really bad, yeah.
I hate them.
But my point being is they rely then on Google Maps to drive and stuff like that, and then those cars aren't publicly allowed on the roads, or at least Google has not allowed them on public roads yet. With that being said, I do want to just note, apparently for the new Google Maps, so you know how you get the car that drives around to obviously take the pictures and stuff, the new Google Maps car apparently was a self-driving car. Depending on where you are, it is actually a self-driving car.
I saw it in Santon, wasn't self-driving.
Okay, because I was going to say, I know someone took pictures of it in, I don't know if it was somewhere in Europe or somewhere in the States, but it was a very built up, populated area, and it was a self-driving car.
It definitely won't happen here anytime soon.
No, definitely not here anytime soon. But my point being is, Google is starting to implement it. I think it's because Tesla has pushed the boundaries now, and there's no laws against it. My point being is, I don't know if there should be laws against it, to be 100% honest.
I don't necessarily see the harm in it. Like,
I think to be honest, I think we've kind of gotten past the point where the laws needed to be implemented. Like, it's kind of okay now to be on the roads. So it's kind of like a 50-50 shot. It's like, I don't know, maybe this one's a dud, so that's why it did that.
yeah.
Maybe this one is okay, so it'll never have an issue in its life.
Again.
So, yeah. So I don't know.
I feel, yeah, like in terms of the self-driving cars being like, because when we started, you were like, I don't see the point of them.
Okay, that was me also being a little bit dramatic for the start of the video and stuff, but like I do see and understand the points of them, especially with your topic again with the older people and stuff like that, because I do feel bad for my grandparents because they really shouldn't be driving. But Nanny and Volvo, yeah, sorry, Nanny and Volvo, if you're watching, just big apologies, but I don't know. I'm still like a 50-50 shot on it, because I have my concerns on the systems and stuff. That's my point.
Yeah, obviously that's a solid point to have, but it's still like it's not necessarily a killer of the thing. Like, you don't hate on a game because it has a bug. The bug will be fixed eventually. You know what I mean?
Or if it's a Bethesda game, you just acknowledge it as a feature, not a bug.
This is true.
Trees grow through walls? Yeah, of course they do. I mean, duh. What
Everyone
universe
knows-
do you live in that they don't?
Everyone knows the Skyrim hack of
Yeah.
jumping out of Whiterun, off the barrels,
Yep.
run around, get the chest. Everyone knows that. It's a feature.
It's a feature,
And it's
it's
such
not
a
a
fun
bug.
feature. Where you
Or
can get your
how
smithing up to
Skyrim
100K.
horses can climb up vertical hills.
Or how you can climb up vertical hills if you
Yeah,
have
actually,
enough
if you try,
patience.
if you try hard enough. Anyway, enough about Skyrim. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of different things that I suppose play into it, and we kind of, I think, really honestly, what has to happen is we have to see where it goes. Like, it's almost impossible to comment on it until you know where it's going.
Yeah. And at this point, we don't know at all.
Yeah,
So-
at this point, all we know is the Tesla system that's available, and then the Google Maps system, which isn't publicly available.
Yeah.
That's still, because Google's still trying to make their own car. Why Google is struggling to make a car, I don't know, because they literally have the database of everybody and all the cars that have ever been made and like all the specifications. So how they're struggling, I don't understand. Just like take all the best bits out of like everything, and then there we go.
Copyright infringement? I don't know.
It's, I suppose, copyright infringement, but I mean, you can make something that's slightly similar, and then it won't be copyright.
Dude, you have no idea how picky people are. Like, if you watch the Formula One people, oh my god. They're like, this wing looks exactly like ours. And then they go to the officials and they're like, you need to inspect this because it's wrong. They're not allowed to have our wing. And they're like, no, but it's different. And you're like, no, it's not. And like, people are just the worst. But yeah.
People are just the worst.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like we covered like a pretty decent.
Oh yeah,
chunk
no,
of
100%. I
content
mean,
in
this has
terms
gone
of-
on for like an hour or something now. I feel like we've covered the topic,
Yeah.
100%.
And like I feel like it was, we thought it wasn't going to be a substantial topic to
Yeah,
talk about.
actually, fair enough. Okay, but I have just something very briefly before we end the episode. If it's not electric, how do you think, or where do you think it would go in terms of like,
Self-driving.
self-driving cars? Because I feel like electric is where everyone tends to go to because it kind of just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But again, with my comments on electric cars aren't actually that eco-friendly when you boil it down to it. So it's like, okay, well then how and where would it go? I have this really gross beard hair that's just busy
Just
growing.
pull it out.
I don't want to do it on camera.
Do it on camera. Do it.
Okay, watch me, bro. Okay, continue with my topic.
Okay, so with the petrol thing, I don't think it's gonna. I think with the self-driving cars, they strictly gonna be electric because of the whole fossil fuels running out sort of thing. Why are you annoying? Okay. And I feel like it's just gonna be.
Got it.
It's just gonna be electric. It's not gonna be for petrol. But if
I-
they were to go like in a
different
route,
route.
like it would probably be a modification, like available.
Oh, like a
top
plug-in
route.
that you can put into the ECU or something.
No, it would be like, so they wouldn't have the batteries centered like in the middle of the car. They would have it centered more like an engine, whereas like, or they would have an engine slot open for whatever car you want, and you can put in an engine yourself, and you can like basically transition it into a petrol self-driving car,
Okay.
and or it would be a hybrid car, obviously.
Yeah.
But then like, that's the route I would see them taking if they were to introduce petrol.
Because I
into
was
the system.
thinking about, because obviously Toyota Lexus has been pushing towards hydrogen cars, so is Porsche, I think, I can't remember. But they're trying to go also towards hydrogen because it still makes noise and it's still got a lot of driver features, and being that kind of car company, they are very driver orientated, so the people who want to drive and feel out the car and stuff, so it makes sense for them to kind of pursue those kind of fuels because it makes more sense for their drivers. And my thoughts were, I know they've talked about a hybrid V8 that will be a hydrogen setup, and so my thoughts were, that you could put it in the fully electric mode essentially, and then it could do that kind of stuff. It could still be a self-driving mode, and then when you click it into sports mode or whatever, then it becomes a you driving. You drive it. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Like it's basically it abides with the sports mode or not.
Like hybrid basically in terms of driving styles. So self-driving or like
it would be
self-driven.
hybrid in two different forms then. It would
Yeah.
be hybrid driving style and hybrid engine style. That's actually an interesting topic. I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on that. I'd be interested to know. It was just something else that popped into my head right now before we decided to end.
Yeah.
Just thought
I
that
feel like
would be
that's
interesting.
also a good topic to like cover
Yeah,
at some point.
maybe to dive into in another video.
Like hybrid cars in general.
Yeah, actually, I'd be okay. Yeah, next podcast in cars is gonna be about hybrids. That'd be dope. All right, guys. Well, then that is actually going to be it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this slightly longer one. I hope you enjoyed my co-star here, my co-guest, and we can discuss more random topics and have a good laugh in between.
If you didn't enjoy it, oh well.
Yeah, if you didn't enjoy it, go. Leave. Why are you still here at this point?
Yeah, at this point,
Yeah.
we should have stated like disclaimer. If you don't enjoy this, you can leave if you want to, or just stay for the views.
Stay and vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know why my door is closed. I need more airflow in here, bro. I hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, until next time, guys. Cheers.
Peace.